right, guys, so we've been talking about time and we're becoming experts at reading a clock. And so now we're going to practice kind of what it looks like whenever we're kind of applying our knowledge of time to real life situations. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a couple problems and then we're going to do a couple of problems that are more of a review of some other things that we've already talked about, but just to strengthen it in your brain. All right. Okay, so let's check it out. So we have, I'm going to pick this little finger guide to help us today. So this first problem says, in the morning, Miss White's students change activities every hour. Reading starts at 8:30. Her students go to 3 more activities. When do each of the activities start? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, I don't remember if the hour hand was blue or the minute hand was blue whenever we did this before, but that's okay. So I'm going to do 8:30 on the clock because that's when everything starts. So I'm going to draw my minute hand. It's going to be longer. I'm going to draw it pointing to the 6 because I know that when the minute hand's pointing at the 6, that is 30 minutes. And to show 8:30, I know that that would be halfway between the 8 and the 9 because it's halfway past 8 o'clock and halfway until 9 o'clock. And I know it's shorter than the minute hand. All right, so we've got 8:30. So we're adding an hour. So the cool thing about this is you already know something that relates to this that can help us. So think about if you have the number 34. Okay, if I add 10 to the number 34, what do I get? Without counting on your fingers, just think about that for a second. 34 plus 10 is 44. 44 plus 10 is 54. 54 plus 10 is 64. Do you hear the pattern? Is the ones place changing? Let's write that down real quick. I'm going to erase it. So we started at 34, and then we added 10 and got 44, and then 54, and then 64. What is changing there? Well, the tens place is changing, and the ones place is not changing, okay? So we can apply the same thing to time. So if I'm adding an hour, only the hour hand is going to change because the minute hand is going to stay exactly where it is. And I'm going to tell you why. Hold on, let me erase this real quick. All right, so if I added an hour to 8:30, well, I'm going to add how many minutes are in an hour? 60 minutes are in an hour, so watch. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That would put us at 9 o'clock. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Look, I ended right back on that 6, didn't I? So 60 minutes is going to be pointing exactly at the same time on the minute hand, but the hour hand is what is going to change. So I'm going to erase that hour hand, and now instead of it being 8:30, it's going to be 9:30. So I know 9:30 is halfway between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. So that is our first answer, 8:30. 9:30. Okay. Now what happens if I add an hour to 9:30? Same thing. The only thing that's changing is the hour because I'm not adding any minutes, right? I'm only adding hours. So now it's 10:30, which is halfway between the 10 and the 11. 10:30. And again, if I add another hour, only changing the hour hand, and it's going to be 11:30. So those are all of the times that those stations are going to start or the activities are going to start. So if I'm adding an hour every time, 8:30 plus an hour would be the first activity, it's 9:30. 9:30, then the second activity, 10:30. It's 10:30, do the third activity, and then the last one starts at 11:30. So as you can see, just like what we talked about with when you add tens, when you add an hour, the minutes are not changing. Only the hour is changing. Okay, that's super important, and it's really helpful if it's 1:24 and you want to know what time will it be in an hour? 2:24. Okay? All right, let's check out this brain builder. Students start work and learning stations at 10:30. After 2 hours, they go to lunch. 3 hours after lunch begins, they go home. What time do the students go home? Oh, we've got a lot happening here, don't we? A lot happening indeed. All right, I'm going to erase this clock, and I'm going to move it down here. Oh, Miss Hargrove. Let's see if this works. Oops. Okay, here we go. I'm going to undo. We're going to do this. And we're going to move it down. Here we go. All right. So if they start work at 10:30, let's see what that would look like. It would be halfway between 10 and 11, and the minute hand would point at the 6 for 30 minutes. Okay? So we're starting at 10:30. 2 hours after lunch would be what time? So if I'm adding an hour, the next time would be 11:30, and then 12:30. Remember what we talked about? Only the hour is changing right now. All right? So after 2 hours, so this is lunchtime, right? So this is lunch. Make that little note. Okay? So that was the first part. So it says they started at 10:30. After 2 hours, they go to lunch. Check. Did it. 3 hours after lunch, they go home. So I also want us to pay attention to this word after. After. Okay? After implies that we are adding time, that we're adding to our current time. We're going forward in time. Whereas the word before would mean that we're going backward in time. Okay? So 3 hours later. So I'm going to keep counting by an hour. So what comes after 12:30? Well, we're not talking about military time, so it's not 13:30. It is 1:30. And then another hour would be 2:30. Another hour would be 3:30. So now they're going home at what time? 3:30. Home. So it says 3 hours after lunch, they go home. Check. So let's see. This is another thing. So if you look at 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, it looks like maybe we're adding 3 hours, but that's not what's happening. From 10:30 to 11:30 is an hour. From 11:30 to 12:30 is an hour. Okay, so that's our 2 hours until lunch. And then after lunch, we have an hour to go, and then another hour, and then another hour until we get to go home. So here's our 3 hours after lunch. Here's our 2 hours before lunch. So what time do they go home? 3:30. All right. So now we're going to do just these first two problems on this page. We skipped to that last one on the other page, and we're going to skip the bottom one on this page. But we're going to do these top two. So it says Carmen has 8 shoes. She places an equal number, important math word, into 2 suitcases. All right. So if I'm going to draw my 2 suitcases, I know she has 8 shoes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're not pretty shoes, but they're shoes. All right. So she's going to place them into 2 different categories, right? So I'm going to put 1 in each suitcase at a time to just make sure I'm giving them equally. So I don't end up drawing 5 in one and 3 in another, and I think, oh, those aren't equal. So I'm going to go 1 shoe, 1 shoe. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many are in this suitcase? 4. How many are in this suitcase? 4. Does 4 plus 4 equal 8? Yes, it does. So there are 4 shoes in each suitcase. So in this suitcase, there's 4, and in this suitcase, there's 4. And we have an equal number, meaning we have the same amount. Okay. Let's look at number 5. A postcard costs 45 cents. Jason wants to buy 2 postcards. Oh, that's an important piece of information. He has 2 quarters, 2 dimes, and 3 nickels. How much money does he have? Okay. So let's see. So I have 2 quarters. 1, 2. I have 2 dimes. 1, 2. And I have 1, 2, 3 nickels. Okay. All right. So let's count this up. So let's count our quarters. 25. Here, let me get my guy. 25, 50. Right? If I count by quarters, it's 25, 50, 75, $1. Remember that? So we've got 25, 50 with our quarters. And now we're adding 10 because we have dimes. So 50 plus 10 is 60. Plus 10 is 70. Okay, I'm at 70 cents now. And then I have, counting by 5s now for the nickels, 70, 75, 80, 85. So he has 85 cents. How much does he need for those postcards? Well, he wants to buy 2 of these postcards, and they're each how much? 45 cents. So if I add 45 plus 45, I'm actually not even going to line those up. I'm going to do some mental math here. So I'm going to add the tens first. 40 plus 40, 4 tens plus 4 tens is 8 tens, which is 80. And then 5 plus 5, adding the ones, is 10. 80 plus 10 is 90 cents. So does he have enough now? No, he doesn't. He only has 85 cents. So the next part says, how many pennies does he need so that he can buy the postcards? Well, let's see. 85 cents is what he has. 90 cents is what he needs to get to. What's the difference? 5 cents, which would be 5 pennies. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to how to count by hours and count by minutes, and then also reviewing money and reviewing division. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day.